said, is also known as the economic order quantity. So whenever an organization which is following the economic order quantity model places an order, it always places for an order for the Q star number of items for every order. So the order quantity is always fixed. Okay. So that's the reason why we call this a fixed order quantity model. And as we said, under inventory control, our major concern happens to be about how much to order and when to place an order. In this context, by economic order quantity for this sort of fixed order quantity models, now we have answered how much to order, and by considering variation of lead time. Now, where lead time is required by the vendor, we have also calculated a term, a figure for when to place an order, which we said is the reorder point. So, what we understand from this is, by reorder point is, we are not ordering any quantum of inventory extra or additional, but while holding the same amount of inventory, say capital Q, if it is the maximum inventory that we are holding, when the inventory levels fall to a level of reorder point, we initiate the order placing process. That's the only thing. We are not increasing the inventory levels of the organization. So in that particular context, we are only trying to facilitate to overcome the delay from the time we place an order to the time we receive the items that we have ordered for. And as we have come up with an expression for the order quantity, optimal order quantity as economic order quantity as root 2 ds by h, we came up with certain assumptions. We said the assumptions for this are that the demand is independent and it is also known and constant. More than this, the lead time is also said to be constant. And the receipt of inventory, we said, was instantaneous. And the quantity discounts are not allowed, and stockouts are also not allowed. These are some of the, and we said the relevant costs for this are the holding costs or the carrying costs and the ordering costs. Okay. And we have tried to come up with some expression building relationship between the variables of interest to us and the measure of effectiveness, where we said the measure of effectiveness is the total cost and the variables of concern are the direct purchasing cost, then ordering cost and variable cost. Having said this, let us also try to see some of the limitations based on the assumptions that we have. And the importance here is that it gives us an idea of how much are we going to give and an opportunity to optimize the cost that we are to spend. And the points that we have realized is that as the inventory size grows, the cost of holding the inventory rises. And EOQ is the exact point that minimizes both is inversely related costs. Holding and ordering costs are inversely proportional. So we are trying to bring a trade-off between these two. Okay. Having said this, let us also see the limitations. The EOQ model assumes steady demand of a business and immediate availability of items to be restocked. Even if it is not, these are some of the assumptions. It does not account for any of these fluctuations that happen either because of seasonal effects or economic fluctuations in the market. The major difficulty here is that it is a one product sort of estimation of the order to be placed. So it doesn't allow us to combine different products in the same order. Okay, that's the last item, I think. The effectiveness of the basic EOQ model is most limited by the assumption of one product business, and the formula does not allow for combining several different products in the same order. The inventory model requires continuous monitoring, therefore it attracts more work and more attention being paid, therefore administrative expenditure or overhead expenditure is also high in this. Okay, and it assumes that fixed costs of inventory and ordering charges and holding charges to be constant. That means ordering cost per order and holding cost per unit is expected to be constant through, which need not necessarily be so. Now, having said this, the fixed order quantity models basically attempts in determining the specific reorder point as well, at which we have to place an order. And as we have already said, the EOQ gives us the size of that order as well. And this order point is always a quantum of units available on hand in the inventory. And an order of size Q is placed when this reorder point is received. Having said this, usually it is not always possible to have such sort of fixed demand in the situations. So what happens here is, in reality, the demand is uncertain. The demand also keeps varying, wherein we are required to modify some of our approaches as we have been saying. Say, for example, one moment. Before I go to that, can I show you one of these example of start recording. So let me, for the sake of recording, let me again go back to the limitations of EOQ. The EOQ model assumes steady demand of a business and immediate availability of items to be restocked. It does not account for seasonal or economic fluctuations, and it assumes fixed costs of inventory units, ordering charges, and holding charges. The inventory model requires continuous monitoring of inventory levels, which is burdensome, and also increases the overhead charges. The effectiveness of the basic EOQ model is most limited by the assumption of a one product business, and the formula does not allow for combining several different products in the same order. Now, coming to a worked out an illustration of the problem, an inventory model has the following characteristics. Here, the annual demand per unit per year, H is given 50. So assume that there are 270 working days in a year, excluding holidays and weekends. We are now required to calculate the economic order quantity and how many orders should be placed during 1 year, and what is the expected time between two consecutive orders, and what is the total annual variable cost of this inventory model. Okay. The first bit of EOQ is very simple. You have the formula for EOQ. Substitute root 2 ds by h. D is given as 1000, S is given as 10, and H is given as 50, 0.5. So root 2 ds by h gives you the economic order quantity. And probably the second slide shows you that. Yeah. This gives you the expression EOQ, that is 200 units. and the expected number of orders placed during the year is annual demand by the fixed order quantity, that is the EOQ. So 1000 by 200. So we are placing order 5 times in a year. And expected time between orders, the total number of working days is 270 divided by 5. So between orders, it is 54 days. And total annual variable cost. Mind you, the total cost includes fixed cost plus variable cost. So here we are asking only for total annual variable cost. So the ordering cost less the annual holding cost consists of the variable cost, total variable cost. So we are showing total annual variable cost as D by Q times S plus Q by 2 times H. So that's about, we eliminated the purchasing cost, annual purchasing cost. So annual purchasing cost is the fixed cost, and the holding cost and the ordering cost happens to be the variable cost components. Therefore, we get the total annual variable cost for this particular issue as $100. The holding cost per unit is often expressed as the cost per unit multiplied by the interest rate. So we did discuss in the last moment, as H is often shown as I times C, the cost of the item. Right? So this is how it is simple arithmetic, but often we find, because of the terminologies that is being used, the number of working days and the time between orders, many a times people have not been able to answer even this. Several people have committed errors in this. Added to this, we are coming to the next level of trying to understand what this service level is. We said that service level is the complement of the probability of stockouts, right? Which means the probability of being able to fulfill the orders from the stock. Service level is the probability of being able to fulfill all requirements from the stocks from the inventory itself, holding inventory itself. So that happens to be one major objective, as we said. In addition to the minimization of costs, we said maximizing service level is one of our objectives. In addition to this, we have already known what reorder point is. The quantity on hand of an item drops to a particular level, the item is to be ordered. So this is the reorder. Safety stock. What is this safety stock? Safety stock is that which is held in excess of expected demand due to variable demand rate and or lead time. Now we are not going to consider the variability of lead time, but let us try to see what happens if there is a variability in the demand rate. Okay, so what we are trying to say is safety stock is an amount of inventory that we are carrying in addition to the expected demand. Okay? Let us take a simple example. The model that we have considered assumed that demand was constant and known, the EOQ model. But in the normal sense, in majority of the cases, the demand is not constant, and it also varies from day to day. And that gives us the scope to have some more protection from going into a position of stockouts. Therefore, we call this particular aspect as safety stock, which we require to be maintaining to provide some level of protection against stockouts, right? And that's what is written here. Safety stock is a stock that is held in excess of expected demand due to variable demand rate. And that's what we are going to address now. Let us say, for example, to give you an idea, if the average monthly demand is something like 100, but if we are carrying our business with say 120 units, then we have 20 units more, and that's the safety stock that we are carrying. You can probably call this. And this sort of a safety stock can be determined based on many different criteria. Usual criteria. One could be, the decisional rules based on information and experience of the organization. And second one could be based on the variability or the statistical distribution based on experience of the organization as well. Let us first consider the informational decisions. Usually we call them as gut feeling or the thumb rules that we call. The first one could be, yeah. Say it again. Yeah. I didn't get you.
Intuition, sir.
Yeah, intuition. Could call that way as well. But more than intuition, we have some sort of a feeling of ratios. We said, what is the vulnerable period for us? Till we reach the reorder point, there is never a difficulty, right? In our
yes, sir,
model of EOQ, till we reach the reorder point, there is not much a problem because we have stocks available. But the problem arises only after we reach the reorder point. If the demand is not constant, if the demand increases suddenly, then what happens is suddenly you might lead to a situation where you are going out of stock. So that happens to be the most vulnerable period that we are likely to face. So what people do probably is that if you go by ratios, they say, if my demand for a particular period is known, I will carry 300% more inventory than what I require for that lead time period. Okay, 3 times more than what I normally require is what I carry. That is 300%. Okay, that is one. The second way of looking at it is probably if somebody is more conservative, you would like to see what is my largest daily usage, okay? Maximum daily demand that I am consuming, and also the largest lead time that is possible or the vendor takes. So when I multiply this, my reorder point is D times L, right? So if I take the largest daily usage demand, and the longest lead time, that gives me enough cushion for this. So that's one way of looking at it very conservatively. And the third point could be, I know my average demand during the lead time, and I would like to maintain about 40-50% as safety factor for this particular lead time. Earlier I said 300 times, but now I might as well come down to something like this. But the second type of option is much better, where I make use of the experiences before and probably predict my requirements based on the sort of uncertainty on a statistical distribution basis. The common approach normally is to state that certain weeks of supply be kept as safety stock. But it would be better if we can use an approach that uses variability in demand. Say, for example, set the safety stock level where there will be 5% chance for stock out. And if demand exceeds 300, this is a probability approach. Okay. What I say is, if my demand exceeds 300, then I have no, there should not be a chance more than 5% of a stock out happening. That means my service level is 95%, and the stock out level is only 5%. I am limiting to this. So this is the way we wish that we could make decisions for our organizations. So let me try to show you one other. Let me, yeah. This inventory system, this we will come back later, okay? Please keep in mind. Let me make use of the time that I have now. Are you able to see the slide? It's a
Yes,
blank
sir,
slide
blank.
right now. Yeah. So far, we have been talking about a situation like this. Where this is constant. Okay. But now we are going to a situation, we are relaxing one of the assumptions that we have made earlier, that the demand is not certain. The demand is varying. And we have also drawn a line as a reorder point. So whenever we come to this point, we wish that we would place an order for replenishing our stocks. Now what happens here is, what I was mentioning is, whatever is the demand, whether the demand is smaller, whether the demand is high, I reach a point, till my reorder point, I have no difficulty. Do you realize that based on these curved lines that I have drawn?
Yes, sir.
So there is no difficulty. I'm not going to go out of stock because I still have so much on hand. But the problem happens once I go down from this level. If it continues, this period is my stock out period. Okay, I'm going to stock out here. But in this case, I have no difficulty. I place an order and it comes back. The demand is low here, but the demand is very steep here in this case. So it's happened. So now I wish to draw a different curve here. If this is understood, allow me to go to the next curve. What I am trying to talk is from this point, this is my zero inventory if the demand was to be a known demand. My demand could be like this, like this, like this, like this, like this as well. The demand is so uncertain. The problem here happens when the demand goes beyond this level. That means it touches the x-axis even before my anticipated zero level is reached. Okay. So I consider the reorder point as the most vulnerable period. I am likely to go out of stocks because once I reach this reorder point, there might be an immediate very high demand and suddenly I have come to a situation where I have no stock. So what do I do for this particular situation is my concern. We understand that such sort of independent demands follow a thing called normal distribution. Okay. So if we call this a normal distribution. You know the normal distribution curve, right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You have seen the normal distribution curve as something like this, a bell curve,
Yes, sir.
right? And what does this indicate? It's the mean, right?
It's a probability distribution.
Yeah,
Average.
this is the probability distribution. This is known as mean. And the left side, the area under the curve gives us the probability of something happening or not happening.
Happening.
Yeah, happening. So if I say that this is the area that is happening, this is, we normally consider this between 3 sigma plus 3 sigma and minus 3 sigma. Okay. And this is considered to be my mean. Let us show by x bar. And the distance from which it is known to be indicated by a term called z, right?
Yes, sir.
You have also seen the normal distribution tables.
Yes, sir.
Once you know how far is this going to cover your present activity, if I say this is the type of coverage that I have, then this area gives me the confidence with which I will not go out of stock. So when we draw the same sort of normal distribution curve here, it looks something like this. So your normal demand curve would mean that it is the mean of this standard distribution. Okay. So that means to say the no stock situation or the stock is fulfilled only to the extent of 50%, right?
Yes, sir.
So the rest of the period you are going, this is the period which is risky in nature. So 50% of the time we are going out of stock. That means to say, if you are operating for 1 year, 6 months of the time you have stocks and 6 months of the time you are out of stock. Is this acceptable for an organization? Maybe not.
No, sir.
It is very difficult for an organization to go with such sort of a stock. So in order to protect ourselves, to overcome such sort of a situation, we said ROP is nothing extra. It is not an extra inventory that we are holding, right? So what we would try to do is we try to shift this sort of area of the curve to a level of what usually the industry or the organizations, business organizations would like to maintain a customer service level of 95%. That means to say they wish to maintain so much level of no stock situation, always being able to satisfy the condition. Only 5% is the no stock situation. Okay? They would leave a chance of 5% because the more you wish to cover this, the higher would be the expenditure. Say, to give you an example of this, for that matter, your grading system is also very similar. How we classify, these are people who get into S grade or excellent grade. Okay. Then based on the difference from the class average, this is the class average, and the standard deviation that we calculate from the sample that we have from your marks, the grades are defined. Whether it is a 6-letter grade system or 7-letter grade system, it is the difference between the 3 sigma is defined now. So beyond this, this is fail, and beyond this, it is excellent. So the percentage of excellence and the percentage of failures are normally minimal, but the rest are all in between. The average component would be much, much higher. Okay, so the C grade would be somewhere. Your mean will be in the C grade. So this is how the distribution of your grading also takes place. So is the case here with the inventory system. The same normal distribution we would like to make use of. Am I clear about this? So that I proceed further.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else has doubts on this? Any questions, please? Okay. I consider that there are no questions. If there are no questions, let me take up an example to make it much more clear. Let me say that the expected demand for the next month is 100 units. Okay. And I am going into the production activity with 120 units. And if I know that the standard deviation of my activity is 20 units. Okay. The probability of stock out, how do we calculate?
We will take Z as 1 sigma, 2 sigma, 3 sigma, and we will calculate the odds against us, like 90% of the time we'll calculate the confidence.
We'll calculate the confidence level. You're right. Right now, when I said my demand is 100, say if my mean is 100, and if I am carrying 20 extra, okay, because I have 120 in stock, right? Say yes or no.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My requirement is 100. I'm carrying 120. So I have an additional 20. And this 20, I also know that my standard deviation for this particular activity is 20. So what it means is I am carrying one standard deviation of additional material, right?
Yes, sir.
So if the curve is like this, this is the average demand, that is 100, right?
Yes, sir.
Please say yes so that I understand that you are following. And what I am carrying is 120. And this is nothing but 1 sigma. Am I clear now?
Yes, sir.
So what is the possibility of stock out here?
16%.
You have to calculate this, right? For 1 sigma, Z value of 1, what will be the probability? When I look into the probability distribution,
34.
yeah, for the value of Z is equal to 1, I probably get the probability as 8413. Okay. So the probability is that 84% of the time I would not get into a no stock out situation. But 16% of the time I'm likely to get into this is a stock out situation. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Is this clear? Others?
Yes, sir.
So for an organization which requires only 95% service level, what should be the Z? Usually in a normal distribution, I expect that we are having details of the mean and the standard deviation, right? Now, we wish to have that value, this unknown value here, so that my stock out situation is limited to 5%. So what do you have to do? Can somebody go to the
1.7
website?
sigma.
Can somebody go to the web?
Hello, sir.
Go to the website.
Which website, sir?
No. Search for normal distribution tables.
Yes, sir. Got it.
You got it? Now look for point.
Got it. Got it, sir.
Yeah, look for 0.9500.
0.9500.
And I want
Actually,
this. I want the Z value in the left column.
Sir, it's around 1.97, I guess.
Which one are you looking at? There are two types of normal distribution curves. Are you looking at a curve which shows the total area under the curve left to the Z, or there is another curve which shows like an intermediate area?
Sir, actually, we had in on the subject one table, sir. From that, if I calculate, I'm getting 1.6 something, sir.
1.64.
1.6.
It would be 1.64.
Yes, sir. Around 1.7.
Okay. So the Z value is 1.64. So that means to say here we have drawn 1.6, right? That was 84%. So now we are asking for, so this value of Z is 1.64. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Have others also been able to find this? Hello? Hello? Any other person, please? Adi? Rahul? Pujita? Satvik? Pragna? Charan? Raghuvanshi? Vamshi? Deepak? Gopi? Satish is here. Jagan? Lakshmi Rama? Sai Teja? Jwalika? Santosh? Aditya? Moni? Rishika? Mohammed? Tarun? Naman? Tejasvi? Pravalika? Bhavana? Rajgupta? Karthik? Shivprasad? Uday? Simon? Saurav?
Sir.
Are you here, Saurav? Good to hear one more voice.
Yes, sir.
Just, yeah. Sri Vishnu, Sushant, Jagdish, Vidit, Manoj, Hemnath.
Sir.
Is
Sir,
that?
Manoj, sir.
Yeah. Ajay Kumar, Geeta, Karthik, Vivek Yadav, Bhukia, Karan Reddy, Sudarshan Reddy, Avinash, Dasari, Charan, Dhanush Reddy, Abhilash Reddy, Shivaji, Karunya, Yamini, Priya, Karthik Krishna, Harisai Teja, Sainath, Akash, Hemanti, Pranav, Dhananjay, Vijay, Rishik, Akhila, Ajay, Vishak, Dilip, Ram.
Okay.
Ram, you are here?
Dilip, sir.
Dilip, okay. Yeah. Well, Akhil Reddy, Shivam Kumar. Well, I see that only a handful of people are present, but this is an important aspect which I wish whoever is present here, understands. If you understood, tell me so. If you not, let me know. Those who have joined just now might not have known this. Okay. So I just told you how we identify the Z value for the item. Those who are familiar with the probability distribution, the mean and the standard deviation, probably have to understand this. Any doubts here? Last chance. So what does this mean now? If we are carrying if Z value is 1.64, Satish, you are here,
Yes, sir.
and yeah, the others who are Percival and others who are here. What does this mean to us? Why do we need this Z value? Earlier, we said when we are carrying 20 units, when the standard deviation is 20, we had a confidence level of 84%, and we carried 120 units. Now, for a confidence level of 95% with a Z value of 1.64, how much inventory are we carrying that gave us 95% confidence, which is beyond 120? Is my question.
33.
Huh?
33.
How do you get that?
1.64 into 20.
1.64 times 20. Exactly. Right? So now I wish to define something called, I wish to define something where my reorder point. Now my reorder point has changed. Earlier, my reorder point was D times L, right? Now, in addition to this, I realize that just when the demand was constant, this was sufficient. But now when the demand is uncertain, I have to have something called buffer stock, which is also known as the safety stock, SS. SS stands for safety stock. So in the curve that I have been drawing like this, after this reorder point, I am trying to create some more level, which is called this safety stock. So what I do now is, earlier, I was not increasing my inventory levels. I was placing an order not when my inventory was 0, but when my inventory came to a level of reorder point. Now, I would place an order not at the inventory level of 0, but when my inventory level is reorder point, earlier reorder point plus the safety stock. So I am advancing when to place an order. Is this understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah? This is clear now? I'm not going to increase my inventory. I don't want to increase my costs. But I wish to initiate my action for placing an order much earlier. And that is now adding the safety stock level also. So my new reorder point, when there is uncertainty of demand, happens to be D times L plus, Satish said something, Z times
Sigma. Standard deviation.
sigma. Standard deviation. Standard deviation of what?
Demand.
Standard deviation of demand, daily demand. Okay? But if this is 1 day, this is fine. But if I have a lead time of more than 1 day, what happens? Then I have standard deviation 1, standard deviation 2, standard deviation 3 as well. So it goes on till the lead time standard deviation L, right? So what do I do? When the lead time extends over several days, we have to use the statistical premise that the standard deviation of a series of independent occurrences is equal to the square root of the sum of the variances, right? Therefore, if it is for the lead time, entire lead time, standard deviation of the lead time, I have to calculate standard deviation of sigma 1 square, sigma 2 square plus sigma so sigma L, right? So many days, and if all the sigmas tend to be very much the same, then what happens here is my lead time sigma square, right? Let it be d bar or something. This is how it happens. Therefore, this finally happens to be sigma daily demand times my lead time. Then my safety stock turns out to be Z times sigma D plus multiplied by lead time. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So whenever we are given a numerical issue, we have to firstly realize the given data, is it pertaining to the standard deviation of daily demand or is it standard deviation of the lead time? If it is the standard deviation of daily demand, then we have to compute the standard deviation of lead time. If it is the standard deviation of lead time that is given, then you don't need to put so much, just Z times standard deviation lead time, right? So my reorder point now happens to be, this is the safety stock. If I ask you to find out what is the safety stock, it is nothing but Z times standard lead time, which may be equal to Z times standard daily demand root of lead time. I wanted to share this information with you. And do you know how we got this daily demands? I hope you are all aware of the daily demand. Whenever I'm talking about the daily demand, what I mean, it is equivalent to DI, where I is equal to 1 to N divided by N. Okay, this is the average demand that I'm trying to calculate. And if this is so, then my standard deviation of daily demand happens to be root of 1 to N di minus d bar whole square divided by
N.
Yeah, right?
Yes, sir.
So these are the expressions that we make use of. Now, what I'm trying to do is, when I have such sort of a limitation, vulnerable period, after this variations that I are likely to pay, the minimum demand is this, the maximum demand is this. Okay? I am trying to cover this sort of a thing beyond to a particular level. Even if the demand happens to be this, I am going to satisfy by this. And that is my safety stock. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is what it is. Now, can we calculate the reorder point? Q is still the same for even if the demand is varying, because this is a fixed order quantity model and this is a Q model, right? But ROP is going to be different. ROP, sorry, switch on. Yeah. ROP earlier, ROP was earlier only D time cell. Now I have added the safety stock, and safety stock is this component I'm talking about. Yes. So now we are done with the Q type of model. Let me come to another model which is known as the P model, which is a continuous review model. Periodic review model. You know, Q model is also known as event triggered, whereas the P model is considered to be, Q model is event triggered. What is the event trigger? Yeah.
Reorder point.
Reaching the reorder point. Okay. That is the event. What is time triggered?
Period.
Based on,
I mean,
periodic.
when the supplier
let me-
come.
That's right. So again, if this is my inventory on hand, and this is the time sort of a basis. My inventory system here, now let me indicate this. Okay. If my target, I have a target inventory here. Yes. My demand is constant, going by the earlier assumptions of instantaneous replenishment. At this particular point of time, I place an order for whatever is the gap so that I reach my target inventory. So in this particular case, again, it becomes something very similar to fixed order quantity models. Fixed order quantity model. But when the situation changes, when the demand is different, I would have a different model. Like, this is my target inventory. I place an order when a particular time arrives. I don't have a reorder point for this system. I only have time periods. This is the time when my vendor arrives, or when the periodic review time comes in, I have to find out my inventory. So if my demand is something like this, my target inventory is this, and this is what I have consumed. Let this be Q1. I place an order here of Q1. Okay. And if there is a lead time, this is the lead time. And if this goes on, this Q1, I placed an order for Q1. So this is my Q1. And next time, this is my demand. So I place an order to reach my target inventory of Q2. And this is my lead time. And I get my Q2 here. And the demand goes. Right? Is this understood? What
That
happens in
second
the model?
Q2 should be less, no, sir.
What?
Yes,
Tell
sir.
me.
Okay. Nothing,
Yeah.
nothing, sir.
In P model, this is not only time trigger, the order quantity is not fixed. we are designating this by small q. Earlier in fixed order quantity model, q is always constant. Q was always constant. But here, q is not. Sorry. Here, the q is not constant. Q1 is not equal to Q2 is not equal to Q3. This is Q3. Right? So, if I have to find out an expression for the quantity of order placed in this sort of a situation, what should it be is the question for me. What is the quantity to be ordered in a system? Here, I don't need to find out the time to place an order because it is periodic. That is fixed. There is no reorder point. Tell me, how do we find out the quantity to be?
Sir, the topmost line, we will give that Q, that
Yeah,
quantity.
this is, suppose this is my target inventory. Call this as TI.
Okay. TI minus T plus LT into demand.
TI minus
T plus LT into demand, both in brackets. T is
Yeah.
the periodic time.
That's okay. Let me first also talk to you. What happens here when we compare this with Q? The fixed Q model. The difficulty here is, in this particular model, the inventory that we are likely to hold is much, much higher compared to that of a Q model. Do you accept the statement?
Yes, sir, because they are less costly and more.
Not just, no, we are not bothered whether it is less costly or more costly at this point of time. We are
Actually,
trying to
P
see,
model is used for low expenditures. So we
that
will
is right.
buy all of them together, all the low expenditures.
The reason is something different. You are coming to a conclusion. We are talking the reverse way. The reason is the inventories in the P model are much higher than the inventories in the Q model. The reason is the review has taken place at this particular time T. Yes, I have reviewed my inventory at this time. The vendor has come. I asked for, I require 30 units of a particular item every month. And right now I have 8 units. So I asked the vendor to give me 22 units. He has served me 22 units at that particular point of time or at a later point of time. So even if I have reached my inventory level, immediately after this review has taken place, there is a demand for 35. I had supplied only 30. I had 30 and I supplied 30. When will I get this for the later demand? When will I again review this?
Next month.
Next time when the vendor comes, that is next review period, and he requires some more time to deliver the goods, right? So it requires lead time plus the review period time. So much of inventory I have to carry. It was not just the lead time. It is also the review period time that I need to carry. So for the time T plus lead time, for this duration of my consumption, I require to maintain stocks. Hence, this particular level of inventory is likely to be much, much higher compared to that of a Q model. Okay. So in this particular model, if I am to calculate my quantity of order to be placed, and if I designate this by small q, it gives by the average demand during the vulnerable period plus, if I am trying to, because there is a variation in demand, let me also take care of the safety stock. Okay. And the inventory on hand. My Q is my total target inventory. So this happens to be, can you tell me what this vulnerable period here is?
Lead time.
Yeah, how do we calculate this? Earlier we said, now we know the average demand. What is the vulnerable period that we just made a mention earlier?
Evaluation. Inspection time.
Is the review period T plus the lead time. Right? The review period from T to T plus the lead time. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Because the demand is occurring soon after the supplier has gone. And that's the most vulnerable time that we have. Then what would be my safety stock? Z times. Earlier, I was calculating only for the lead time. Now, my vulnerable period is T plus L. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
This minus my inventory on hand. This is the quantity of order placed. This is for the P model. If this is okay, for the EOQ model, I want you to do this, please. Show that total variable cost is equal to root of DSH. Okay, prove that total variable cost is equal to root 2 DSH. We said EOQ is equal to root 2 DS by H. Now, total variable cost is root 2 DSH.
5 to.
Yeah. No, you can do it at home. Then I also want you to come up with an expression for TVC by TVC star in terms of Q and Q star. Express TVC by TVC star in terms of Q and Q star. Okay.
Okay, sir.
this and let me know the expression for the second item. So I will share some of the problems and I want you to work out on them so that we discuss if necessary anytime, whoever has doubts. Okay, please interact with me. Thank you for joining today, and yeah, we probably have time now to get into the other unit of project management. And we will do, if time permits, we will do some tutorials, work out some problems on this. And I will share the slides tonight. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.